And welcome to another episode of Nostalgia Review. On this episode, we're going to be looking at Mario Kart 64. Now, I know there was Super Mario Kart before this, but for me, Mario Kart was truly born with Mario Kart 64. Even to this day, despite how much of a pain in the ass the AI and their rubber banding on crack level still is, this is still a fantastic game, easily one of the best titles for the Nintendo 64. So without further ado, let's get started. Mario Kart 64 is a classic kart racing game, as classic as it gets, released back in December of 1996 for the Nintendo 64. It's a massive upgrade from the first Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart, on the Super Nintendo, introducing 3D courses, 4-player gameplay, and of course, new items. This was also the second best-selling game on the Nintendo 64, with 9.87 million copies sold, right behind the number one game, Super Mario 64, at 11.9 million. There are 8 characters to choose from: Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toad, Yoshi, Bowser, Donkey Kong, and Wario. These are pretty much the core characters in the series. For game mode, you got Grand Prix, the standard select a cup, your CC, and then race through the 4 courses in the cup. Then there's Time Trial, where you select whichever course you want from a cup and race through each lap solo as fast as you can to set a time. As long as you don't wipe out or pause, you can save your ghost from that run and race it later. In Versus, 2 to 4 players can race on a course of their choice together. And last, we've got the awesome battle mode where you start with 3 balloons and you pop each other's balloons.
I'm Luigi, number 1.
The cool thing is when you lose all your balloons, you turn into a Bob-omb and have the chance to drive into someone else to take one of their balloons with you. There are plenty of courses in this game, and all of them quite nostalgic. Heck, in every Mario Kart game after this, the Nintendo 64 tracks are always my favorite in the retro courses. The 4 cups are Mushroom Cap with Luigi Raceway, Moo Moo Farms, Koopa Troopa Beach, and Calamari Desert, Flower Cup with Toad's Turnpike, Frappe, Snowland, Choco Mountain, and Mario Raceway, Star Cup with Wario Stadium, Sherbet Land, Royal Raceway, and Bowser's Castle, and Special Cup with DK's Jungle Parkway, Yoshi Valley, Banshee Boardwalk, and my favorite, Rainbow Road. I like the N64 version of this course the most, but I wish that the remake of it in Mario Kart 8 would be a lap-based course rather than a one-lap sprint. Oh, let's not forget about the battle courses: Big Donut, Block Fort, Double Deck, and Skyscraper. All but Double Deck would see an appearance in later entries, which is a shame because I actually like that course. That's pretty much it for content. Before we review, let me do a little bit of storytelling from my childhood. Obviously, I played this game a lot as a kid, especially since the most games I ever had on the N64 was like 25 or something. Most of the time, unfortunately, I didn't have anyone to play with, but there were times when my 2 cousins and even my aunt would play with me, and we'd duke it out in battle mode and have a blast. After having played everything in the game repeatedly, I eventually started doing what I even still do to this day: try to exploit the game. By this, I mean find all sorts of glitches, typically trying to get out of the track areas where I could, and see if there was anywhere I could fall out of the map, anywhere I could land and not have Lakitu bring me back in from, etc. Of course, I think my favorite discovery has to be the well-known shortcut at the beginning of Rainbow Road. I actually found out about that on my own back in the day by trying to get airborne in as many different places and directions as possible, with one of those tries resulting in me landing on the track further ahead. I loved trying to abuse anything that would let me get airborne, which is why I loved any track that had a boost ramp that I could try to alter my trajectory rather than landing where I was actually supposed to. Of course, I didn't only mess around with the race courses. Since I actually had multiple controllers, something that's just too damn expensive to be worth it on modern consoles, I could just plug in the other controllers and set it to battle mode and mess around with the idle players. I usually tried to see where I could throw myself out of a map or over a barrier. I think I might have succeeded in doing this on all the courses that had barriers, meaning everything but Skyscraper. Anyway, I think that's about enough storytelling, so let's get to our review. For the longest time, this was my favorite Mario Kart game. In a way, I guess you could say it still is. The courses are my favorite of any of the Mario Kart games. The leap from the flat courses of Super Mario Kart to the 3D environments of Mario Kart 64 was a major improvement. Mind you, Super Mario Kart isn't a bad game, but I just didn't like it that much, especially for the fact that everything was just so flat and short, which was completely understandable given the hardware the game was made for. The point is, Mario Kart 64's courses left a great impression, which is why all but 2 of the courses in the game have made it into newer Mario Kart games under retro courses. They all had their own thing that made them memorable. One of my favorite things is the mystery of Yoshi Valley. Up until you cross the finish line on the last lap, your positioning in the race is unknown as everyone's portrait is a question mark. I also liked how in Calamari Desert, the AI would actually react to the train. When the guardrails started beeping and the train is going by, they'll actually stop and wait for it to pass, rather than ram straight through it and wipe out. And not to go on too long about courses, but one thing I just have to mention is how awesome it is that the castle from Super Mario 64 is in Royal Raceway and at the end of every cup. I used to always go off the track to explore and see what I could find. Getting off the topic of courses, this game has a perfect selection of items as well. Now I will say that many of the newer items introduced in the later games are pretty cool, but with Mario Kart 64, it just feels like you have everything you need, nothing more and nothing less. It's just the right amount to keep races interesting and people on their feet. Or wheels. Now music. Oh boy, when it comes to nostalgia, this game is a frickin' goldmine with music. The music is just incredible. Right off the bat from the start menu, moving on through the main menu, racing through all of the courses, everyone just has such a memorable music track that just sticks with you. For me, it was of course always Rainbow Road's theme. Favorite course, favorite music. Finally, as for sound design, well, there's nothing really to talk about it, as it does its job there, no complaints. Now there are still faults with this game, such as the AI. Their rubber banding is on a new level of crack. It especially feels like that with Peach or Toad, as one of them always seems to be right on my ass at abnormal speeds, regardless of which CC you choose. Top that off with their own ability to throw bananas in front of you so precisely, something that I never even knew you could do in this Mario Kart game to begin with. Just look at this. They can curve these things. Yeah, not throw them directly in front of them, no, they can just throw them diagonally precisely in front of you. And not only that, they can throw them through solid surfaces too. Through a mountain, through a bridge, whatever, it's gonna land in front of you. And of course, with them always on your ass or zooming in front of you, you'll be constantly hitting them with an item, expecting them to be dropped further back in the pack, but nope. They'll be back on your ass in a jiffy like mice to Gorilla Glue. Then there's the issue's single player limits. If you want to play a certain track, you'll have to play through the entire cup. Otherwise, you'll have to choose time trials and race alone. One thing I've always loved about the newer Mario Karts is the single player versus mode, being able to pick which track you want to play in whatever order you want. Heck, as soon as I beat all the cups in Grand Prix, I typically play strictly versus when it comes to races. But you know one thing that's better about this Mario Kart than every other one? No damn blue shells. Okay, this isn't entirely true, but they're so damn rare that most of the time it's like they aren't even there, so they're usually never a problem. Legit, I can't even remember the last time I even saw a blue shell on Mario Kart 64, and I've played it quite a bit through the years. For a while I actually forgot that they were even in the game and had to look it up just to be sure. But seriously, I still like newer entries and all, but at that point, the various different blue shells made the games more luck-based rather than skill-based, especially in some of the more middle entries in the series. But overall, this of course holds up as one of the best Nintendo 64 games ever made and is still fun to play, backed up by the fact that this game has had multiple virtual console releases on Nintendo systems. Given that it's an N64 game, there's plenty of ways to play this. If not on the original hardware, emulated on a Wii, a Wii U, an original Xbox, a PSP, a Vita, a phone, your computer, whatever works for you. Only downside is you'll be restricted to the single player Grand Prix and time trial modes only, unless you're on a device in which the emulator can support multiple devices as controllers. But other than that, again, it's still a fun game worth going back to from time to time. Anyway, that's my nostalgia review of Mario Kart 64. If you liked it, like, comment, or subscribe because I still have a growing list of nostalgic games to take a look at here on the channel. This is Warstar C on the Game Clips channel, and I'm out.